here's my biggest question for each NBA team going into the 2022 NBA offseason. I might have stole some of them from Bleacher Report, but so for Atlanta, I want to know how committed they are to Onyeka Okongwu's development, because I hear reports of them going after Rudy Gobert and DeAndre Ayton, but you could just trade Clint Capella and roll with Okongwu. And for the Celtics, I want to know where they're going to find more playmaking. Is it going to be developed internally, or they're going to search for like a veteran point guard? Because you can get away with starting Marcus Smart definitely at point guard, but there were some times where their lack of a true point guard really showed. I feel like the biggest question for Brooklyn that isn't like related to Kyrie and Ben Simmons has to be that center position. Like, are you going to try to bring back Nicholas Claxton or Drummond, or I have no idea. And for the Charlotte Hornets, obviously, we do not currently have a head coach at the time I'm making this video, but we also have to address that center position, and more specifically, like where it's going to come from. Like, is it going to be through trade? Is it going to be from the draft or free agency? Or we could just roll with Plumlee? We're a mess. Continuing the trend of centers, I think the Chicago Bulls realize they kind of need more of like an athletic, defensive-minded big, kind of like a Wendell Carter Jr. But if anyone wants to take Nikola Vucevic, I'm sure they would be very happy. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, it has to be something revolving around Colin Sexton, because you obviously want to re-sign him, but it's like, how did he recover from his meniscus injury? How much money does he want? Like, it's complicated. I don't know. For the Mavericks, my question is, how much are you willing to pay Jalen Brunson? Like, how much is too much? Because he's definitely worth bringing back after that playoff run, but I feel like there like has to be a limit for how much they're actually willing to pay him. For Denver, my question is, do they think a healthy Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. makes them contenders? Because if it does, they can just cruise this offseason, but if they don't, they got to make some moves, and I'm going to be real, I don't know what those moves are. For the Pistons, my question is, what can you get for Jeremy Grant? Because we saw what Christian Wood just got traded for, a late first and a bunch of role players. I'm sorry, Bowie, but I don't imagine his value would be like that much different. For the Warriors, it's like, do you extend Jordan Poole? Do you extend Andrew Wiggins? Do you extend both? Is that even possible? I have no idea. Their cap situation is insane, but I don't think they really care about that at the moment. For the Houston Rockets, Kevin Porter Jr., he is eligible for an extension. It all comes down to if they view him as their long-term point guard. I don't know if they do. That's not my decision. Thankfully, it's not. Indiana Pacers, what are you going to do with Miles Turner? You know, I know he's expressed his desire to stay numerous times throughout the years, but he's going to his contract year, heavy injury concerns, and I mean, you could lose him for nothing, so just trade him to the Hornets. Los Angeles Clippers, is a healthy Kawhi all they need to contend? Because I mean, basically their entire roster is under contract for next season. Or are there some necessary moves to make, like upgrading Reggie Jackson or Zubac? So for the Lakers, I want to know, like, what are the odds that they can re-sign Malik Monk? Because he's expressed that he wants to stay, he feels at home in LA, but will they be able to retain him, or will he go after like a bigger bag with a different team? For the Memphis Grizzlies, I want to know, like, can they make a trade for like a more of an immediate contributor? Because they have so much depth. Like, can they turn that depth into someone? For the Miami Heat, can you actually use Tyler Hero as the focal point of a trade package to get a star? Because I mean, they're the notorious jersey swaps every other day, and I'm sure Donovan Mitchell would absolutely love to play there, but can Tyler Hero get you him? For the Milwaukee Bucks, can you find some cheap bench scoring, because they are in the luxury tax trenches right now and they have to re-sign Bobby Portis, so on this offseason they definitely have some cap work to do. Minnesota Timberwolves, do you move or extend D'Angelo Russell? Because I'm sure he makes Cat happy most of the time, and I mean, honestly, he's going to the final year of his deal, so you got to choose. Is he the point guard of your future? For the New Orleans Pelicans, Zion Williamson's up for an extension. Do you give him the bag? And I have the answer already. They are. Even though he's barely played, he's amazing when he does play, so yeah, they're gonna do it. For the New York Knicks, I don't think they feel like playing Alec Burks at point guard again next season. So are you going to throw money at a Jalen Brunson, a Tyus Jones, or try to make like a big splash for Donovan Mitchell? I guess we'll see. For the Oklahoma City Thunder, how much longer is SGA willing to wait? Because I know Sam Presti is still trading for and like scouting middle schoolers, but SGA is not going to be in the league forever. So like, at what point do they need to speed the process along? Orlando Magic, what are you doing with Mo Bamba? Obviously, you're drafting another big man with the first pick. I don't know who it's going to be, but like, do you facilitate a sign and trade, or you just let him walk, or do you keep him? For the 76ers, like, is there a way that you trade away Tobias Harris and get better? Because he has a hefty contract, so I don't know like what you're actually going to get in return that would improve the team, but you never know. For the Phoenix Suns, how replaceable is DeAndre Ayton? Because it's kind of clear that they don't want to max him out. They're probably not going to bring him back. So what are some realistic centers that could fill in and keep them in title contention? Portland Trailblazers, how much are you paying Anthony Simons? You know, he's a restricted free agent. When Dame was out, he was going absolutely crazy. I imagine they can't coexist because Dame and CJ worked out, sort of. But yeah. For the Sacramento Kings, are you trying to win now or later? Because you just traded for Sabonis, which was clearly a win-now move, but then you jumped up to 4 in the lottery. So do you select and develop another prospect, or trade that for some immediate help? For the San Antonio Spurs, do you capitalize on Jakob Poeltl's value? Because he's coming off a career year, and there's been tons of rumored interest from like the Toronto Raptors, and I mean, he's definitely more than welcome on the Charlotte Hornets. Speaking of the Raptors, how are they going to deal with the front court redundancy with like OG, Scotty Barnes, and Siakam without having a true center? Because there have been reports about OG being unhappy with his role. I'm not sure how accurate those are, but it's definitely something to look out for. For the Jazz, I feel like it comes down to, does Donovan Mitchell actually want to be there? Because there's choosing between Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell as players, and there's also choosing between who actually wants to play in Utah. And I feel like Donovan Mitchell, low key, high key, wants to move on. And finally, the Washington Wizards. Like, how good of a team can you build if you're paying Bradley Beal $250 million? Because them boys gonna be mediocre forever.